Hello and welcome back, Not Just Developers. Hopefully you're doing well. Today, in this video, we will learn how to upload our Expo React Native application to Apple's App Store using Expo Application Services. And I will guide you throughout the whole process step by step. In case you missed our previous episode where I've showed you how to upload your application to Google Play Store, we will leave the link in the description so you could go and watch that. Hopefully you'll enjoy this video, and without further ado, let's jump into it. So, before starting, we will have to create accounts on a few websites in order to use their services. And the first one will be Apple Developer Account. In order to do that, let's type Apple Developer in our URL bar, click enter. In here, select the first link. You'll see this page where we have to click account up top here, and they will ask us to log in. If you have your account already, you can log in and skip to the later part of the video. But if you don't have one, let's click create yours now here. We can close this tab already, and in here we'll have to provide some information about you. So let's start with the name, last name, our country, date of birth, your email. You need a valid email here, so type in whatever fits you. Now you'll need a strong password, okay. And in here we'll need to provide our phone number. Also, you need a real phone number in order to verify your phone. You can select whether you want to verify it with a text message or a phone call. I will select text message, and I don't need to receive announcements, nor do I need to receive emails about new releases. Also, you need to type here the letters from this image and click continue. Now you need to go to your email and type in here the code that you received there. So I will type in the code and I'll come back to you right after I do that. Okay, so I just entered my code. Now let's click continue here. And now we will have to verify our phone number that we provided as well. So after you get yours, enter it here and click continue as well. Okay, I've entered mine. Now let's click continue. And in here we'll have to agree with Apple Developer Agreement. So you can read, and after you've done with this, you can click that you confirm that you have read and agree to this agreement. And also I like to uncheck this box, but if you'd like to receive communication announcing the latest events, news, and etc., you can leave this tick on. Let's click submit. And here we are. We are in our Apple developers dashboard. Now, in order to be able to manage your application, or most importantly, publish your application to the Apple's App Store, you do need to enroll to their Apple developer program. And it does cost $99 a year, which is pretty steep compared to Google Play, but basically there is no other way around it. And if you want your app on the Apple App Store, you'll have to do that. So in order to do that, let's click this gray box under here. And in this page, you'll be able to read a little bit what it gives you, its benefits and stuff like that. But basically, I've just summarized everything before. It does include some neat things and interesting, helpful tools. But basically, if you want your app on the App Store, you need to enroll. So let's click this blue button here. And in here, we can also read a little bit more. What do we need if we are enrolling as an individual? Or what do we need if we are enrolling as an organization? Of course, we are going to do it as an individual. So let's scroll down and click start your enrollment. And in here, we will need to provide some more personal information. So I'll do that behind the camera, and then I'll come back to you right after I'm finished. Okay, I'm done. Now I can click continue down below here. And basically it will ask us whether we are individual, company, nonprofit, or any other of the choices. And of course we are an individual. So let's click continue. Now let's again read everything here if you want to. And after you're done, you'll have to click this box in order to confirm that you have read and agree to everything that says there. Now let's click continue. And in here, as I've mentioned before, we still have to pay for our Apple Developer Program membership. So in order to do that, click this purchase button down here. In this page, simply provide your payment information as well as billing information, and then click continue. After which you'll be charged $99, and that's it. You have your Apple developer account. Now I won't do that because we already have an account. So you can pause the video, make the purchase, and I'll meet you at the Apple developer dashboard. Here it is. Here is your Apple developer dashboard. For now, we will not do anything else with it because we still have one more account to create. And in order to do that, let's open a new tab, write expo.dev. In here, click this sign up button. And in this page, simply provide all of the necessary information. Do provide a valid email because you'll need to confirm it later. And after you create an account, you can click login and log into your account. After you log in, you'll see something similar to this dashboard. It will not be exactly the same because we already have some builds here from when we were uploading our application to Google Play Store, but it will look more or less the same. Now we can get into some more technical things. And in order to do that, let's open our VS Code and the application that we were working on. And in that application, open app.json file. In here, I will want to change a few things. First of all, I want to change the name of the application to not just crypto tracker and also the slug. And a slug is basically a piece of URL that represents your application. So we will make it something similar to the name. Okay, here it is. And also we are basically done, but we need to remember every time we release a new version to increment this by 1. And because it's a first release, we will leave it like this, but just keep in mind for the future. Let's save it and open the terminal. In here, we'll want to install Expo Application Services. And in order to do that, simply type npm install. We want to install it globally, so write this EAS-CLI. Let's click enter. Once it's finished installing, we can log into our Expo account. And in order to do that, simply write EAS login. And in here, we'll have to provide our credentials. So let's provide username and email and password, Here it is, we are logged in, and we can check if we are actually logged in by typing EAS who am I, and we can see that we are logged in as Lucas Grin, and that's correct. Now we want to configure our project, and we can simply do that by running EAS build configure. Now it will ask us whether we want to configure it for all of the platforms, iOS or Android, and right now we are doing only for iOS, so let's select that and click enter, and it's done. We can open and check what file it created, and for now we will not change anything here, but we will have to make some changes later on. Now we can start creating our first build, and in order to do that we simply have to run one command, which is EAS build --platform, and we do need to specify for which platform are we creating this build. In our case, we are doing it for iOS, therefore that's what we are gonna type. Let's click enter. Okay, now we need to provide our iOS bundle identifier, and it is basically an unique string that identifies your application. So in our case, we will simply write com.notjust.crypto tracker. Let's click enter. Okay, now we need to log into our Apple account, and you can choose not to, but I highly recommend you to do it because then it will automate so many things for you. Otherwise, you'll have to do all of those things manually. So we will click yes. Now we will provide our Apple ID. Let's click enter. Okay, now we need to generate a new Apple distribution certificate, and a distribution certificate basically identifies you and allows you to submit your application to the App Store. So basically it ensures that the app code originates from the organization or individual who signed this app and has not been altered since. So we need to generate it, and Expo Application Services helps you to do that. Let's click yes. Now we need to generate also Apple provisioning profile. So let's click yes as well. Okay, now we are done. They will also ask if we want to set up push notifications for our project, but we don't have that, so let's click no. And now our build is being uploaded to EAS build. Now we can click this link in order to check how our build is doing and track its progress. Right now it's in a queue, but soon it will start building. It depends how much time it will take. It really varies, but I will meet you right after it's finished and we can continue from there. And it's finished. It was pretty fast. It only took us around roughly 6.5 minutes. And you can see a lot of information here. Basically, you can see the logs. You can expand them to check even more details. You can see the version number, the build number, and a lot more information about this particular build. But for now, we will not use it. So we can close this tab, we can close this tab, and we can go to our Apple developer dashboard. From here, click App Store Connect box. They will ask us if you actually want to go to the App Store Connect, and we do need to go here. Okay, now in this page, let's click on My Apps. Now let's click this blue plus button and click New App. In here, we'll have to provide some information. First of all, we need to provide for which platform are we creating this application, and it is iOS. Now we need to provide the name of our application, which is Not Just Crypto Tracker. Now we need to choose our primary language, and it will be English, US. And now we need to choose the bundle ID. You remember the bundle identifier that I told you about, which uniquely identifies your application? You should see it here, and it's actually the first one for us. And also we need to provide the SKU, which is, you can click on this question mark. Basically, it uniquely identifies your application that is not visible on the App Store. So I will just give the same one, com.notjust.crypto tracker, the same as my bundle ID identifier. And now we need to select our user access. Usually this matters more for organizations than individuals, but more times than not you will choose full access. Basically, you can limit the access to certain things for certain roles. Okay, we provided all the necessary information here, and we can click create. Now we need to reload this page because usually it doesn't appear right away. Okay, and here it is, Not Just Crypto Track. Perfect. Let's click on this, and in here we'll have to provide a lot of different information about our application. First of all, we will start with app previews and screenshots. So you need to provide at least one screenshot for iPhone 6.5 inches, iPhone 5.5 inches, and for iPads. So let's start doing that. And actually you can click this choose file and select from your computer where your files are. I will do that behind the camera because it will take a lot of time to go one by one, and then I'll come back right after I'm done with it. Here it is. I just finished uploading my images and screenshots. So basically you can see it for 6.5 iPhone, 5.5 and iPads. Okay, we can continue. You can always add some kind of promotional text here, and it will basically always appear above the description. So it can be one simple sentence, and in my case, I will write cryptocurrency price tracker, comma, don't miss a dip. Okay, so it's something flavorful, and also you can provide a description. Think about it very well because description is pretty important for your application if you want other people to download it. For me, I just quickly created something behind the camera, so I will copy paste, but I just list some of the key features of this application. Okay, now let's go to the keywords. Keywords are actually very important. I think it makes more sense to have less keywords, but very good ones, rather than fill out the whole 100 characters with bad keywords. So I also prepared some behind the camera, and you need to separate them by comma. So something like this, crypto, comma, price tracker, comma, cryptocurrency, comma, etc. Okay, now let's go to support URL, and we will come back to this a little bit later. So let's leave it empty for now. We don't have any marketing URL, and it is optional, so we can skip it. Version number will be 1.0.0, so let's fix it. And copyrights, it will also be, it can be your name, your startup. In my case, I will simply put not just. This one, routing app coverage file is optional, and we will skip that. iMessages app, we don't have that, and we're not releasing for Apple Watch. Here we will need to upload our build a little bit later, but let's skip this for now as well. And we don't use game send, so we can move on. Okay, app review information. So this information is necessary in order for Apple worker to review your application and either approve it or decline it. And our application don't have any sign-ins, so we can skip this one. But if your application contains a registration and login forms, you need to provide login forms for the reviewer. But we don't have, so we can uncheck this one. Now this is contact information. So this is basically how they can reach you. Let's provide my name, my last name, my phone number, and my email. And this is notes for the tester. So you can leave something like thanks for your time, and you can leave it empty, but I like to thank for their effort. And you can add some sort of attachments that you think may be necessary, but it's optional, so we can skip. And now we go to the last step in this page. Basically, you can select if you want this app to be automatically released right after it is approved, if you want to manually release this version, and that's what actually I will select in this case, or if you want to automatically release this app version after it's approved, but no earlier than a certain date. I will select manually release it, and we can go up top to save all the information. Okay, now it's saved, we can continue. Go in here under general to app information, and here we'll have to provide some more information. First of all, the name here, we already set it, so let's leave it like that. You can add a subtitle if you want. In my case, I will leave it empty. In here, we need to select the category of this application, and there are a lot of categories here, but I think the one that fits the most is finance here. So let's select that. You can also select the secondary category, but I don't have anything, so I will leave this empty as it is only optional, but this will let you appear on the search results a little bit better. Okay, now we need to set up our content rights. So let's click this set up content rights information and answer to a few questions. Does your app contain, show, or access third-party content? And I think it does. We use CoinGecko API. So let's click yes, and I have the necessary rights. And the only requirement from CoinGecko is to mention that it is powered by their API, and I already did that. So let's click done. And the age rate. So we need to set up the age rating across all platforms. Let's click here, and we have to go through a questionnaire. So you can read it here. First, select the level of frequency for each content description that best describes your app. The app's age rating that will appear on the App Store is the same across all platforms. So cartoon or fantasy violence, none. Realistic violence, none. Prolonged graphic or sadistic realistic violence, none. Profanity or crude humor, none. Mature suggestive themes, none. Horror, fear themes, none. Medical treatment information, none. Alcohol, tobacco, or drug use or references, no. Simulated gambling, no. Sexual content or nudity, no. Graphic sexual content and nudity, no. Contests, no. Okay, we filled our form. We can click next, and here answer to a few more questions. Does your app contain unrestricted web access such as with an embedded browser? No. Does your app contain instances of gambling? Nope, it does not. Let's click next. And the last one, based on your selections, your app age rating displayed below, which is 4 years old. And here advanced, your app's age rating will be replaced by the rating associated with each option below. Your content selection and level of frequency will not be affected. And we can leave this as it is and click done. If your app is more suited to 17 plus years old, you should have selected that. For us, it's good. We selected all of the required information, and we can click save up top here and continue to pricing and availability. Our application is free, so that's what we are going to select. You can select whatever price your app is, but usually probably it will be free, and you can select also in other currencies, but I don't need that. Now we can click save here because these other options are not as important. You can go and read them through, but usually you will leave them by default, and go to app privacy. And in here we'll have to first of all click here get started, and basically they will ask us about data collection. If your app is collecting any kind of data, you should click yes, and then you'll have a few more questions to answer. But we don't collect any data about the user, so let's click no and click save. Additional setup required. To update your app's product page with new data types, you need to finish setting them up on the following page. Okay, but we don't collect any type of data, so we don't need to do anything else. Now we do need to provide our privacy policy URL, but of course it would take too much time to write a good privacy policy right now. Therefore, just open a new tab, go to app.privacypolicies.com. In here, click Privacy Policy Generator, and we'll have to answer to a few questions in order for them to generate a privacy policy for us. First of all, where will your privacy policy be used? And it's going to be used in an app. Then we need to provide our app name, so it's not just crypto tracker. Now we need to provide our entity type, and we are an individual, and the country. So let's select my country. You can select yours. Click next. Now, what kind of personal information do you collect from users? We don't collect anything, so I will choose others. If you collect something, make sure to select it here and select additional information you collect from a device. We don't collect anything, so let's just click next step. In here, we'll need to provide how users can contact us for any questions regarding our privacy policy. So I will select by email and provide my email. Okay, next step. And now we can choose if we want their professional privacy policy. We don't, so I will simply click this and click next step. And here I need to provide the email address to which I want to receive this privacy policy. I will select the same one and click generate. Here it is, we have our privacy policy URL. We can click here to copy, then we can close this page and we are back here. In here we click edit, and under privacy policy URL, paste the URL that we just got and click save. In here, we need to click this publish button. So it will publish your app privacy policy responses, and yes. Okay, we are done here. And now we can go back to our main page by clicking this prepare for submission link. In here, we still have a few things to deal with. The first one being support URL. Apple explains it as an URL with support information for your app, which basically doesn't give you much. And I've tried to dig deeper, why are they requiring it and what it is actually. And from what I've managed to gather, Apple expects a bare minimum of support for users of your application. And a user should have some way to contact you with questions, concerns, issues, or any problems with the app. And some people even say that it can be a simple email address to contact you, but I never tried it, so don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly sure. And what Apple is requiring that because if a user doesn't have a way to contact you with a problem, they will just complain to Apple if they have any kind of issue, and Apple would have just no way to resolve that issue with your application. So requiring this URL saves Apple from having to deal with users who really just want to communicate with you. So in this case, I will simply try to provide a URL to my privacy policy, because under the bottom they still have an email to contact me, and I'll see if Apple accepts my submission or rejects it, and then I will let you know. So okay, let's click save here after pasting, and now we need one more thing to deal with here, and it is build. Right now we don't have any kind of build uploaded on our App Store Connect, but we do have one created from the earlier on Expo, and we need to somehow publish it here. In order to do that, we're gonna have to go back to our VS Code and in here do some setting up and also run some commands. So first things first, as you remember, I've mentioned that we're gonna have to do some changes in eas.json. What we need to do is go under submit, under production, go here, write iOS double dot, and now we will have to provide a few different credentials. First of all, we will go with Apple ID. This will be the Apple ID that you use to log in and basically your email. So in my case, this one. Now we also need to provide our application ID, which is IST app ID, and you can find it by going into your App Store Connect, go to app information. Here you have your Apple ID. So copy this, go back and paste it here. And last thing what we need to find is Apple Team ID. So let's write Apple Team ID, and you can find it by also going on the web, opening a new tab, write Apple Developer, go here, account, and in your Apple Developer dashboard, click membership. Here you have Team ID. Let's copy this, go back, paste it, and save everything. So now we need to run a command, and we can simply write EAS submit /p for platform iOS. Now we need to provide which build it needs to take. There are a few options, but usually you will go with the latest. So it will take the latest build, which is this one that we have on Expo, and it will push it, submit it to App Store Connect. So let's click enter. Okay, link the project. Now we need to select what to use for our project, whether to choose an existing AST API key, add a new, or enter app-specific password. So we will add a new key. They will ask us if we want to generate a new App Store Connect API key, which we do want. Now we will need to log in again to our Apple developer account. Okay, and it is scheduled for iOS submission. We can click here in order to check the details, and it will take a few minutes in order to push this to the App Store. So I will come back to you right after it's finished and we will continue from there. Okay, it finished pretty fast, so we can see that the status is success and we don't really need to do anything else here. So we can close this tab, we can close this tab and go back to our App Store Connect. In here we can click TestFlight. And here we'll have our new build that we just pushed. Usually it will take some time to process it, so you'll have status processing, but after it's done, you'll see something like this, missing compliance, and then you'll need to click manage. They will ask us if your app uses encryption. Select yes even if your app only uses standard encryption within Apple's operating system, and it does not use any encryption in my case, so I will select no and click start internal testing. Now the status is ready to submit. But before submitting, it is usually smart to test your application if you can on some kind of internal users or even by yourself on a real device. And in order to do that, let's click this blue plus button near the internal testing. Here let's give a name to our internal testers group. So let's simply call it internal testers. Click create. Here we'll have to click this plus button near the testers. Select the testers you want to include in this internal testing group. Click add, and this tester was added to this group. And you can see it says that the status is invite. That user needs to go to his email and he'll receive an invite to test the application. He'll also have to download the application called TestFlight from the App Store, log into his account, and he will be able to test the application that easily. So usually it is really smart to do this because then you can find some kind of bugs or you can even test if everything is correct. Now we can continue to actually submitting our application to the Apple review. And in order to do that, we can go to the App Store up here, scroll down to build, and now you can see that we can select a build before we submit your application. So let's click this. We have one build under version 1.0.0, which is the first build. So let's click this and click done. Okay, we have our icon that we created and everything. Now let's scroll up, click save, and now we can add our application to review. So let's click this, and now we need to confirm our submission. So you can review everything, items ready for review with 1.0.0 version, build number 1, correct. So let's click submit to app review, and that's it. Your submission has been submitted to app review. You can see some more information here, and we can go back to our app review, and we can see that our application is waiting for review. Okay, it's done. We've managed to submit our application for app review. Now Apple needs to review our application and check if everything complies with their rules and regulations. And after they are done, I'll come back to you and I'll show you how to publish your application to the App Store. Here we are. Finally, we've managed to get our application approved by Apple. It took some time, to be honest, not gonna lie. First of all, it takes around 24 hours in general to get your application reviewed. And we also got rejected twice, so it took even longer for us. First rejection was because we used CoinGecko API and we didn't provide any kind of proof that we are able to use their API, so we got rejected. Then I had to resubmit the app with the proof that we are able to use this API, and then we still got rejected, so I had to contact Apple. After that, we finally got approved and we are able to release our application to the App Store. And to do that, we simply have to click one button, which is this up top here, release this version. So let's click it. Now we have to approve that we want to release this version. Click release this version again. That's it. It's finished. Simple as that. We have our first release on the App Store. Now I will try to take my phone and install this application on a real device. So in the App Store, let's click on a search bar and type not just crypto tracker. Search. Here it is. We can see our application. Let's click on it and click get. Let's approve. You can see all of the information below, but once it's finished installing, simply click open, and here it is. We can see that our application is working perfectly. Let's open a coin. Voila. Let's go back. But now let's say we want to release a quick update. In this case, for example, I want to change the name, the title, I should say, from crypto assets to all crypto assets. And with Expo, you can do that very easily. You simply need to run one command in your VS Code or your editor after making the changes to the application. So let's go to our VS Code and write that command, which is Expo publish. Click enter, and once it's finished, the next time a user opens the application, it will be updated. So let's close the app and open it again. here it is. We can see that it changed to all crypto assets. Now, this is called over-the-year updates, and with Expo, you can, as I said, release new functionality, quick bug fixes, or anything that you need really quickly. There are some limitations though, and you need to rebuild the binaries if you change anything in iOS, Android folders, if you change your splash screen, your icon, app name, owner, scheme, and a few more things. You can read more about that in Expo documentation. Also, if you install new libraries or change your libraries, you need to rebuild the binaries. But you see how easy I was able to release an update without the need to build the binary, submit it to the App Store Connect, then submit for Apple review, wait around 24 hours, and only then be able to release a new update. So Expo helps a lot with that. But what if I want to release, as I said, a normal update with new libraries, with something major changed? Well, in order to do that, we would have to make the changes in the application and rebuild the binaries. And I'll show you how to do that. First of all, you'll need to make the changes to your application. And in my case, I will want to change from all crypto assets, the title, to cryptocurrencies. I know this is not a big change, but I'm doing this only for demonstration purposes and in order to show you how to release a proper update. So I'll make the changes behind the camera and come back to you to continue. Okay, I've changed the title, but we still have to make some more changes in app.json before creating a new build. So let's open it. And in here, first things first, we need to increment our version by 1. So it will be 1.0.1. And also we need to increment the build number by 1. For me, it's already build number 4 because I had to adjust our application because of Apple rejection. So I already created 4 builds. So for you, it will be a different number, but always incremented by 1. So for me, it's 5. Let's save it. And in the terminal, simply write EAS build --platform iOS. And let's click enter. Okay, now we need to log into our Apple account. So let's click yes and provide Apple ID. You see how many things EAS is doing for us automatically? It's actually insane how good it is. And we also need to answer to a question. Would you like to set up push notifications for your project? And we don't. Now it's uploading the build to EAS build, and we can click on this link in order to track our progress. Currently the build is in the queue, but soon it starts building. Here it is. And after it finishes, I will come back and we'll continue because it will take around 7 minutes, I think. So stay tuned. Okay, it's finished and it took around 7 minutes as I was expecting. Right now we have our build, but we need to submit it to the App Store Connect. And in order to do that, if you remember from previously, we need to go to our VS Code and simply write EAS submit platform iOS and pass the latest build that we just created. Let's click enter. It's scheduled for iOS submission. Let's open this link in order to track our progress again. And as you can see, it's in progress. So I'll have to again cut this part out and come back to you after it's finished in order not to waste your time. Once again, it's finished, so we can continue. Let's close this tab, and in here we can click on TestFlight. Here is our new version 1.0.1 and build number 5. In here we, as you remember, have to manage our missing compliance, which will ask if does our app use encryption, and it does not. So let's click no and start internal testing. If you remember from previously, again, you can go to TestFlight application on your device, update the application and test it there, after which you can simply go to App Store, add a new version. The version will be 1.0.1. Let's click create, and we simply have to add what's new in the version. So changed home title and add our build here. Let's click select build before you submit your app. Build number 5, done. Go to the top, click save, and simply click add for review. Now we can review our submission and click submit to app review if everything is correctly. That's it. We submitted for Apple review. So right now we need to wait until Apple finishes reviewing our application, and then we'll be able to come back here and release this new version to Apple Store. finally Apple has finished reviewing our application and we are able to continue. It took almost 24 hours, but nevertheless we can release this new update to production. And probably you already remember how to do it, but if you don't, just follow me along. We need to click this release this version button and also approve the release. Voila, our new update is in production. Right now it will take a little bit of time to process, but I will try to open my phone and download this new update. So in the App Store search bar, let's click and type not just crypto tracker search. Okay, and here it is. We can see that we can download an update. So let's click that and open our application. We can see the title changed to cryptocurrencies. So yeah, we've basically covered everything that you need to know in order to release your application to the Apple's App Store. We've learned how to release new updates, even 2 ways of doing that. So I really hope this video was helpful and informative to you. I hope you'll learn something new and even manage to upload your application to the App Store. And if you have any questions, you can always write them down below and we will try to answer them as soon as possible. Also, don't forget to like the video because it helps us a lot to grow, and subscribe to this channel in order not to miss our weekly tutorials and other programming related videos. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope I'll see you soon and have a nice day.